Okay. I want to start off by saying thank you very much to Travis at Human Head Records in Bushwick for sorting me out once again. Have a wonderful time, and I just realised that he does a show, Records Before Rent, which is here on the Lot Radio. And this is interesting. This is another collaboration for the next 2 hours, the Worldwide FM and the Lot Radio. Thanks to Seth and Eli, Soul Club Radio, incredible, handing me some records. Love the latest Nona Hendrix thing. And on Worldwide FM, Francois K. Wow, quality. Coming off the back of 2 brilliant shows. So, what am I doing? Well, I'm here to talk to you about the Worldwide FM second birthday. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk to Francois, right? Because he never talks. I'm going to talk to him because he's the guy who set up the Lot Radio. And I want to just find out what it's like and how it's been going, and such a great spot, and the story of the Lot so far. Big up to all the crew as well in Chicago. International Anthem did a special show on Sunday. That was on Worldwide FM. AACM and many other guests. It was really great. Tone be nimble. Now I'm going to have 2 guests apart from Francois. First of which is going to be a man who I have been working with for many, many years. He runs Giant Step. Giant Step is it started off as a club, a record label, event company, marketing company, and still killing it, and such an important influence on all things alternative club culture here in this city for many, many years. So we'll be talking to Maurice Bernstein. And I'm also going to get him to play a load of tracks that have inspired him and that he released on his label. And some stuff that he's working at the moment as well that he wants to tell us about. A mad little tune, isn't it? Corey King is with us as well today. He's going to be playing some music from his brand new record. He's been working with Esperanza Spalding, Jemiah. He's got his own crew, his own group, and he's also a trombonist. So we're going to, last night I went to see Eddie Palmieri, and it was honestly, I had such a brilliant time going to a jazz club in New York on a Monday night. Monday night has always been Latin jazz night in New York. From back in the day when I was coming here, I think it was Machito had a thing going on, or there was a bunch of them. He probably was dead by the time. But loads of people. Maurice, come here, mate. Let's get going. Let's get going on it because I'm not queued up, to be honest with you. So I might as well get you in and get you out of your USB stick. You asked me if you could play off Spotify here. We can't do that sort of thing. Can't. No, we can't. Can we? Oh, can we? Oh, we can. We could have done that.
This is America, man.
Yeah,
This is America.
Excellent. So, first of all, Maurice, we're going to get going. But yes, you and I went to the Blue Note yesterday. Now, I'd never been in the Blue Note as it is. It's a different Blue Note now, isn't it? Or it feels different to when I last went there, which would have been 40 years ago, or a long, long time ago.
Well, that's the.
It's not the Roxy. No, that's the one in LA, isn't it?
Yeah.
Blue Note, the Roxy.
So the Blue Note that we went to on West 3rd, that's always been the Blue Note Club.
It feels like it was, yeah, shabby.
I'm not going to.
No, but
come.
but you go there.
I live in New York. I can't say.
But it's amazing. No, I don't say it in a kind of. I kind of say it in a good way, because sometimes these sort of jazz clubs that have become museum pieces, they end up becoming like going to the theatre. And in a way, you go to the Blue Note in New York, which is this legendary venue, and it is a bit shabby, and the food's not that particularly good, and they have this kind of old curtain with the Blue Note sign in sort of cardboard, and you're just thinking it's a kind of, it's almost like a fake Blue Note. But when the music starts and the sound system's fantastic, the presentation's fantastic, and the music was incredible, so it doesn't matter how it's sort of made up, right, or how it's dressed up.
I think it's the vibe. It doesn't feel overly clean, overly sterile. That's the Blue Note, and I think it would be a shame if they actually changed it up there.
So how many clubs? I mean, how many clubs of the sort of legendaries are still existing in New York? You've got Birdland. I was there yesterday.
That's not the original Birdland.
Oh, it's not the original.
No, the original Birdland was on 52nd Street,
right?
And that Birdland is on like 46th or something. That's not the original Birdland. I mean, the original place that's still going is the Village Vanguard.
Yes.
On 7th Avenue, and up until recently, the original owner's wife passed away. I've forgotten her name, unfortunately. But I mean, the Vanguard that's the original place. And then Minton's reopened up in Harlem, but I think it was maybe in the original spot. But it's really the Vanguard. I mean, back in the day, and this is before even you and I were around, Giles, and we're pretty old. You had the 5 Spot, which was in the Village, and that's where Monk had a residency, and you'd literally go down there and Monk was the piano player, you know. I mean, those were the days when, you know, all those guys were living in New York and they were just musicians just doing their thing. You know, when I first came to New York, you had the Sweet Basil, which was on 7th Avenue, and every Monday night you had the Gil Evans Orchestra playing, like every Monday. And, you know, as a Englishman coming to New York back then, I was just blown away that Gil Evans would, but it was his gig. I mean, that literally was his gig. That was the thing that like kept him going. And the orchestra, the band, was made up of like all these incredible musicians. Randy Brecker was in the band, you know, and they'd all just go down and play every Monday, and they'd all just sit in, and it was incredible. Yeah.
And I think one of the things about being here is, and I think we'll come to it now because we're going to play an Eddie Palmieri track, and it's the fact that this is a city which, okay, they say New Orleans is the birth of jazz, but this is certainly where jazz continued and flourished and continues to do so. Winter Jazz Festival in January, we'll talk about that a bit later on because I was there. In fact, the last time I was on here was when we were doing a night at the Winter Jazz, and that's always a really great event. But the clubs are still there, but the thing is that I think is amazing, and when you do come here and you go into a room and they're about to go and play live, is that the musicians, whether it's Randy Brecker or whether it's Chick Corea or whether it's Eddie Palmieri, you just feel that they're so comfortable and they're not putting on a show because they've been brought over. It's almost like it's just nature. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes it special, I think, seeing jazz in New York City, and I really appreciated it yesterday. So let's play. I'm going to play a couple of tracks from Eddie Palmieri, one from his last record and the one from his latest record. So he's just had two. He's still making great music, and this is a song that he dedicated to his wife yesterday, called Life.
puede estar. Vámonos pa'l monte pa' guarachar. Vámonos pa'l monte, que el monte me gusta más. Dicen que poquito a poco se acerca la depresión. Si no se abusan, mis amigos, nos tumban el vacilón, vacilón. Vámonos pa'l monte pa' guarachar. Vámonos pa'l monte, que el monte me gusta más. Con tanta guerra, tanta violencia, aquí yo alzo mi grito. Si esto sigue como va, hay que será de mi Puerto Rico, ay bendito. Vámonos pa'l monte pa' guarachar. Vámonos pa'l monte, que el monte me gusta más.
They did this song yesterday at the Blue Note. This is Eddie Palmieri. I'm still blown away by that concert because I remember I've seen a few good ones this year. Hermeto Pascual was a really great concert because it's just great when you meet these or you listen to these legends and you're expecting them to be maybe slightly faded and they're not. They're even better than they were. That's the great thing about jazz, I think. It just gets better. People get better with age.
Yeah, you see people like Ron Carter and Chick Corea, and they just, it's incredible. Wayne Shorter, Herbie Hancock.
Yeah. I think people I think if you're a musician and you're young and you're thinking about which direction shall I go in, just think about the fact that jazz might not benefit you early, but it will benefit you in the long run. And so it's I think it's a really good journey to go on. And I just think that, every time I see people, the last time I saw Kenny Garrett playing as well, he was so brilliant and he's kind of surrounding himself with just energy. So even if he might be getting slightly older, he's just got some amazing people around him that are inspiring him. We'll talk to Corey King later on as well. We'll talk about that whole process. But Latin jazz. And again, yesterday when I was in New York and I was listening to proper Latin jazz by musicians who live in New York, who speak, their mate, as you said, the mates are in the audience. ambience, and it kind of just creates this beautiful, and by the way, thank you very much to Blue Note, because I didn't thank you, whoever organised it, but we got free drinks last night.
Well, they didn't bring the bill, and we were like, I think you've missed our table out, and they're like, no.
I've
so
never
very
had,
nice.
I've
Thank
never
you,
had
Blue
that
Note.
drink either, because I'm not very good with spirits. But what was that?
Drinking dirty martinis.
Very nice. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I felt it a bit this morning, but it was a good one. So, yes, Maurice. So, how come a guy from Manchester who support? You're an ardent Man United fan as well. I know
I
that
am. I'm a
you
red.
you
I
go-
bleed red.
Are
by
they
the
playing
way.
today? Are they on?
Tomorrow?
Oh, okay. Because
Yeah,
you would not have been on this. You would not have been doing it live. You'd be on a screen somewhere. But you go home and away when you can, right? So I mean, you were like in Moscow for the Champions League final.
Rome for the. I've done all the I've done every Champions League final except for 1968 when I was too young, but my dad was at that game.
Right.
So I've
Good.
done 4 Champions League finals, and I've seen him win it twice. No, I've seen him win it twice.
That's fine. I'm not that interested in that.
How many times have you seen him win it?
No, it's fine. I have been to one thing, but I don't want to get into the football thing.
okay.
But I do think that what's amazing about you is that you did just one point in terms of your commitment to the game and to your team is that you got a flight from New York to Moscow, right, and to watch a football match
In the rain.
in the rain. Yeah, I remember that. And that was was that the John Terry penalty miss?
It was, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He almost won the cup, but he effed it up.
Okay, anyway, that's enough football. So anyway, you came here, and of course, anybody who knows my sort of pathway in music will probably realise that you and I had quite a strong relationship with regards to a particular project, which was the New Reconsole project, which we'll get on. But funnily enough, Eddie Palmieri was the only person who didn't turn up at the photo shoot for that.
Correct. And he was ready to, I was telling you the story last night. He was, that was quite a day getting, if anybody remembers the album cover, that was basically a day where we took over a restaurant in Tribeca and basically had them all dressed up in suits, and we created this sort of whole montage experience around the New Reconsole album. So George Benson was there, Roy Ayers was there, Jocelyn Brown.
Jazzy Jeff La India.
I don't think Jazzy was at the photo shoot, actually. La India was there.
Yeah.
Obviously, Kenny and Louis were there. Dave Valentine.
Vince Montana
was there. But there were some other people who were there.
All I can say at this point is that this particular project, I think, for me personally, was one of the best and most satisfying all-round record things that ever happened, because I just remember, first of all, a song came out from Louis Vega and Kenny Dope, which was called The Nervous Track, and we were playing that song at Bar Rumba on a Monday night, and it wasn't really fitting into the house clubs at the time because Masters at Work were huge as Masters at Work, and so they put out this weird record as it felt at the time, and so we were playing it in the alternative clubs, and then Kenny and Louis heard about it, and then we started talking about it, and then I said to them, let's make an album really going into the depths of your heritage and legacy. Of course, Louis Vega's uncle is Hector Lavoe. I didn't even realize that stuff, and so he was like, well, I want to make a record which is going to connect all of those bits from Roy Ayers to La India to Eddie Palmieri, and then but it was going to be an expensive project. It was, in those days, it was like you can't just knock it out in your bedroom. So it was probably going to cost a couple of $100,000 to make this record at that time, using proper studios and proper everything. And so there was no way I could afford to pay for that at Talking Loud, which was the record label I was running. And so we had to split it 3 ways and find 2 other partners, one of which was
Apex in Japan.
Who had nothing to do with anything.
Right, but they put up a lot of the money.
and then it was you, and with Giant Step, and you had a deal at the time with
Tommy LaPuma,
GRP Records, and so between Tommy LaPuma, yourself, me, and Louis and Kenny,
we basically
it was the best record I think that we've kind of come up with. I've certainly been part of, and of course one person that you've forgot to mention, or we just forgot to mention, who was also part of the project, was George Benson.
Right. And
one of the first songs that came out of the recordings, once that we'd worked out the budgets and everything, was You Can Do It Baby.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the day I'm in my office in Talking Loud, in Hammersmith, looking over the Thames.
I remember that office.
And the DAT arrived. And the DAT arrived, we put it in the machine, Paul Martin and myself, and we put it on. We just made sure it was ready. We were very excited. We played the song, and it was one of the unbelievable moment. It was like, we could not have expected anything as good as that, right?
Mhm.
And that was really the beginning, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I agree with you. I mean, for me, it's still one of the proudest things that I've ever been a part of. Just to be a part of that was incredible. To work with all those musicians, but we had just done our deal with GRP, with Tommy, and Louis called me one night really frustrated, and I was like, "What's up?" He goes, "I'm doing this record with Gilles. I've got Avex in Japan involved, and I can't find a home in America, and I just don't know what to do." So I was like, "Well, if I said I had a label, would you work with us?" He goes, "Absolutely." So I said, "Well, all right, we've got a label. You're going to work with us," and that was it.
Well, I mean, that he put it all in. He put it all on that. We were about to play a
Cheetah.
but let's not.
Okay.
I mean, we're on the Nuyorican, so
Okay.
I've got it queued up here, right? Which one have you picked?
So I've got Sweet Tears
Sweet
because of Roy Ayers, and I just, he just had his birthday, and I know.
We're working on a little project with him, so yeah, that's good. Let's play the Roy Ayers, Sweet Tears, incredible, Nuyorican soul, lot, Worldwide FM.
I'm leaving, don't you cry. I'm the one that's grieving, you know why. Love is like a wild bird, you can't tie. Free to stay forever or to fly. My heart will always stay. Gotta make my getaway. Got to say goodbye. Got to say goodbye. Falling from your eyes, baby. That's the only trouble with goodbyes. Broken dreams and promises. Well, that's the way love always is. I'm leaving, don't you cry. I'm the one that's grieving, you know why. Love is like a wild bird, you can't tie. Free to stay forever, or to fly. Broken dreams and promises. Well, that's the way love always is. Please, please don't ask me why. Please don't ask me why. Sweet tears falling from your eyes. Sweet tears. Ooh, sweet tears.
Okay, oops, let's turn that down a little bit. I'm just getting used to this setup here. It's actually pouring. It's we're getting the back of Florence here, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's coming.
Yeah, we're getting very interesting interesting weather. Francois, I'm just breaking away from Maurice Bernstein for a little bit because I've been coming. This is the fourth time I've come
I
here.
think it's the fourth time. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a
We still have your emergency record.
You have, yeah. We have the emergency white label of Youssef Kamal's album, here, which is nailed to the wall just in case the DJs haven't got a record. And little did we know that was going to become quite an expensive one.
I know.
On Discogs.
Yeah.
If you look at white label,
I don't want to check.
it's in the hundreds, I think. So, how are you? How's it going?
I'm really good. Always happy to welcome you. It's a pleasure.
Well, every time I come here, you are always here. Now, it's our birthday for Worldwide FM, and we're going to be 2 this week. But you are just a little bit. You're 2.5.
2 years and a half.
Yeah.
We started in February.
So, what brought you here, and what made you create this this piece of history?
Thank you. No, I've been in New York for 8 years, and I started working on the project 3 years and a half ago when I discovered that little piece of land was for lease, and I fell totally in love with that little triangle. And thought, I don't know why, but I thought online independent radio would make a lot of sense. And since then, I never stopped working on that idea. Took a year to get all the permits from New York, etc. And that's why 2 years and a half ago, we started streaming, as a test, an afternoon on a Sunday. But then there was so much excitement around it that we never stopped streaming since then. And we just catch up on everything, and now this is where we are after 2 years and a half.
Yeah, it's amazing. And there's usually a few people here because there's this sort of community coffee type of...
Yes, because the most important thing for me was that the radio had to be self-funded and independent. So we had to find a revenue stream, and the best idea we found out is just the little coffee shop, which is right there. It's a little kiosk where all the regulars of the neighborhood just come for coffee, beer and wine at night, etc. And that's how we fund the whole project. Amazing. And stay independent.
So the coffee does it.
Yeah, or mainly the alcohol.
Yeah, I bet. So tell us a little bit about how it's developed from your, okay, you want to set up a radio thing and it's playing music, but how do you feel that it's developed a community and a scene? How and where's it going?
I have the same question for you after, but I I think what happened is when we opened, we realized that it was badly needed in New York. It didn't exist anymore. Or it didn't exist in this form to have an online platform, totally independent, self-run for every different kind of music scenes that you can find in New York. We wanted to showcase kind of a wide spectrum of what's happening right now.
Okay.
So there's a lot of electronic music, but there's a lot of everything. We just welcome any people who have like good intention and totally irrationally passionate about music. They're welcome on the radio. And I think, out of it just created like kind of a tighter community. People are now meeting also here. It's not only into clubs and late at night, etc. You have like a real community here. We even seeing a lot of collaboration happening that would never happen before because those DJs would have never met, and DJs or producer or musician. So that we're extremely happy and proud that that's happening. And then where it's going, I don't know, for us, the most important is to keep this platform up and running, to keep that little place free-spirited and creative and independent. And we do a lot of shows in the church, for example. Like, we want people to come and take over the radio and use it as their platform and do what's interesting for them. We have a lot of people coming with new ideas. They're like, oh, we have the video. Why don't we integrate some live video effects, etc. There's a lot of ideas always coming. And I'm extremely thankful to have started this project because those 2 years and a half have been the most fulfilling of my life, because I meet so many incredible people with so many good intention who want to be part of that project, and that's really like it makes me extremely happy.
Great. So you're from Belgium, right?
Brussels originally.
Brussels. So you know Lefto's coming to town today.
Is he in town today?
No, he's arriving now.
He never tells me when he comes now. That's so
come.
annoying.
He's playing at Les Bains on Thursday night. But I think one of the radio stations that I remember listening to and going on actually before you was Soho Radio, right? Or was it?
No, East Village Radio,
East Village Radio. East Village Radio. I remember that was kind of the precursor, I suppose.
Totally. No, they were. But I think when we started, they were already kind of close. But definitely, it's basically one of our biggest influence with Red Light Radio in Amsterdam and NTS Radio in London. Yeah. Basically, those were like my three biggest influence. And it's just that because I realized East Village Radio was not active anymore. There's a couple other in Bushwick that are active, but I was like, I think we need New York deserve a radio that's proper, like more, like more, I don't know, bigger or something somehow.
Yeah, and there's that fanzine as well that comes out of here as well. They send it to me every week. What's it called? Love Injection. Yeah, that's
Barbie and Paul.
Yeah, that's another really great piece of New Brooklyn. The dance scenes. The dance scene's really interesting, and the live scene's really interesting. It's a bubbling place. Francois, listen, where do you live? I mean, every time you're here. Whenever I'm here, you're here.
4 blocks away. That's why I had to move closer because I'm here all the time.
So, I mean, you literally, do you feel that you have to be hands-on with this radio station?
No, it's just...
Can you let it go a little bit?
Yes, because after 2 years now, we have an incredible team on board. Being all the barista who are taking care on the day-to-day to make this place live, they're incredible. Yeah. Because it's a tough little place. It's a container. It's super small. We don't have running water. We don't have sewer. We don't have anything. So it's a really complicated place to run. They do a great job. And also on the radio side, we have a team of 3 to 4 people, and they're incredible too. They're not there today because they're all traveling to Europe, but it's Lloyd, Pauline, and Chris, and that little team is just such a pleasure to work with. It's insane.
Well, last time I was here, we did a thing, if it was 6 months ago, with Joe Armand-Jones and Femi Colioso.
In the trailer. That was insane.
Is that gone?
So every summer, every winter, we have to find another solution to go through the winter. So last time you saw the little trailer, that was fun. But I think this year we're going to find another solution. I think I'm going to look for another kind of container like this, maybe a bit bigger, and put it at the same place and do live session, etc.
Good. And as you said, there is the mission across the road.
San Damiano Mission, yeah. It's an up and running Christian Roman Catholic church run by 2 incredible Franciscan priests.
Yeah, they come in here, right?
Yeah, all the time for coffee every day, and they're extremely open-minded, super young in their mind, and they love the radio, and they kind of offered us to take over the church from time to time to do concerts, etc.
Amazing. Well, look, you're doing a great job. Thank you so much for letting us
come
on
for coming by.
And mess about and use your gear and your equipment.
Always welcome.
It's really great fun. Come and join us to Worldwide FM as well. You haven't been to our place.
I know. I need to go check it out soon. Soon.
Allez. Right. Maurice, pull me the track out. I haven't queued anything up. Where should we go here? Should we play some Gil Scott Heron?
Yeah. Let's do some Gil Scott Heron.
Why?
Well, I mean, I picked out songs that sort of were for me about New York and influenced me with New York. And Gilles, for me, is quintessential New York. Although he wasn't born in New York, he did go to high school here. He went to Fieldston in Riverdale, which was actually a very fancy high school. It just my early days in New York, not only going to see Gilles, but then ending up doing a lot of shows with him. I feel he's one of the most underrated artists of all time.
And funny enough, one of the interesting sort of connecting that story was one of the first time Galliano, all the British bands, Jamiroquai, Brand New Heavies, the first time they came to New York was through your company, Giant Steps, and you brought them over. And I remember the first time that Galliano played, they played back to back with the Brand New Heavies.
Yes, at the Village Gate.
At the Village Gate, and that day, the guys, Rob should be telling us this story better, but I know that they literally saw someone playing on the street corner when they arrived. On arrival in New York, first time here, they go down the street, and who's performing for a few dollars on the corner was Gil Scott-Heron.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah. I can, unfortunately.
Let's play the tune.
Feel kinda down and out, you don't know just what to do. Living all of your days in darkness, let the sun shine through. Ever feel that somehow, somewhere you lost your way? And if you don't get a help quick, you won't make it through the day. Or could you call on Lady Day? Could you call on John Coltrane now? 'Cause they'll wash your troubles, your troubles, your troubles, your troubles away. Plastic people with plastic minds are on their way to plastic homes. No beginning, there ain't no ending, just on and on and on and on and on. It's all because they're so afraid to say that they're alone. Until our hero rides in on his saxophone. Or could you call on Lady Day? And could you call on John Coltrane now? 'Cause they'll wash your troubles, your troubles, your troubles, your troubles away. All right. Ever feel kinda down and out and don't know just what to do? Living all of your days in darkness, let the sun shine through. Ever feel that somehow, somewhere you lost your way? And if you don't get a help quick, you won't make it through the day. Or could you call on Lady Day? And could you call on John Coltrane now? 'Cause they'll wash your troubles, 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 your troubles away.
Okay, this is the Lot and Worldwide FM special edition.
Away, your troubles
It's humid, it's hot, it's raining.
away. Yeah,
Juana Molina's performing tomorrow night. I'll give you some details on that. She's over here in New York. There's quite a lot going on at the moment in New York City. There always is, isn't there?
There always is. It's New York City.
Yeah. What's going on tonight?
You know what? I don't know. I'm Jewish, so it's Yom Kippur. So I'm going to start my fast pretty soon.
Yes. Well, let's talk a bit about the dance music scene before you get into your fast, because another thing about coming here for me in the early days was to go and listen to a lot of these great DJs. And on one hand, you got the jazz thing, and you had the sort of the rise of hip hop. And unfortunately for me, I was able to kind of capture and catch a lot of that with certainly people like the Gang Stars and the Jungle Brothers and the Tribe Called Quest. It was a magical period back then, and that was the time that you were already working here with your record label. But let's talk about the dance music scene, because you and I ended up on several dance floors very in the morning, and just
No
tell us
comment.
a bit about sort of the influence of that, and how actually Giant Steps, because Giant Steps, you had your night, everyone it was an important part of the kind of the fabric of club culture here. Just take us back to sort of what would it have been
The early days.
mid-90s when you first started.
No, we started actually in September 1990 with Giant Step, but I came to New York. I used to come a lot when I was a kid, but I moved here in '87, which is when I left college in London, and my whole goal was to go to the Paradise Garage, and you had to be a member or know a member to go, and I didn't know anybody, and fortuitous, just out of chance, one night I ran into the boys from the Family Function, who used to do the warehouse parties in London, and they invited me to join them at the garage. And
So who's that? Norman J, Femi Fem?
it was Mark, and it wasn't Norman, although I think
Jules maybe.
it wasn't
not
Jules either. It was Mark, Mark and a bunch, and what's his name, who opened up the Ministry of Sound. Whose
Okay.
name I've forgotten as well.
Yeah, you're
Justin
doing-
Bertman.
Right.
So that's all going way back, right?
Mm.
So it was Justin and Mark went to their place, and then about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, we walked down to King Street and went to the garage. And literally, that was a life-changing moment for me. I mean, I'd been going to clubs since I was about 14 or 15 in Manchester, and again in London, but I'd never, ever in my life seen anything like it. And it was actually the weekend
Who was
before
DJing?
it closed. It was Larry Levan. And there was a performance by 2 black men, a Dominican and a Puerto Rican, which was David Morales and Colin Cavillas. And they did Do It Properly live. I mean, I don't know whether I was hallucinating all night or just natural. But it was unbelievable. After that day, my life changed, and from there, I immersed myself in New York club culture. I'd go to the World, I'd go to the Loft, I'd go to Save the Robots after all of that, and I'd go to Nell's, MK. But what was missing was the parties that you were throwing in London, Giles. There was no jazz dance parties. There was no one playing jazz music like that. There was a couple of rare groove parties with New Eurekan Soul, and so not New Eurekan Soul, Soul Kitchen. And then we started something called the Groove Academy in the summer of 1990, where we brought back artists who'd been heavily sampled, so Bobby Bird, Bootsy Collins, Maceo, and that crew, and the JBs. Remember, we saw the JBs versus the JBs. We put that show on, New Music Seminar 1990. And then in September 1990, Jonathan and I started the Giant Step Weekly. And really from there, it kind of grew.
Amazing. Okay, let's play a song from that era. If you've bought something, I can see something which looks like it.
Gangstar jazz thing, which to me epitomizes everything about what the club was.
And I would like to play a little tune I just composed not so long ago.
Miss Billie Holiday.
Bird.
The music called jazz.
Great Charlie Parker, the one and only, a man of jazz. Modern progressive jazz here at the Metropolitan Opera House at Royal Roost.
Its roots are in the sounds of the African, or should I say the mother. bringing us back again. From the drumming on the Congo, it came with a strong flow and continued to grow. Feet moved to the beat of the tabalo. Now dig the story and follow, for then it landed on American soil. Through the sweat, the blood, and the toil, it praised the Lord, shouted on chain gangs. Pain they felt, but it helped them to maintain. Scott Joplin's rags, Bessie Smith's blues, St. Louis blues, they were all the news, ringing smooth in all the listeners' ears, fulfilling the needs and planting the seeds of a jazz band. King Oliver's group was a train coming through to Chicago, bringing a New Orleans groove. And when Satchmo blew, the audience knew Basin Street Blues was no whole house tune, it was music. Great to dance to, great to romance to, with a lot to say to you. Relaying a message, revealing the essence of a jazz band. In the 40s came bebop, the first bebop, the real bebop. So let me talk about Diz and Bird, giving the word, defining how a beat could be so complete. Playing with ferocity, thinking with velocity, about ornithology or anthropology, and even epistrophe. And this is real history, Thelonious Monk, a melodious thunk. No mistakes were made with the notes he played. His conception was recondite, a star glowing bright among dim lights. The critics did cite that he sounded all right. Charlie Mingus, such nimble fingers, dropping the bass all over the place. And Max Roach, cymbals socking, bass drum talking, snare drum rocking, restructuring the metaphysics of a jazz thing.
Then too, we'd like you to feel that you've just walked in. You've been seated at the table, and now you're ready to listen to
John Coltrane, a man supreme, he was the cream. He was the wise one, the impression of Afro blue and of the promise that was not kept. He was a giant step. And there was Ornette Coleman, he was another soul man, the original invisible, playing great music. I wonder why the bankers couldn't use it. Now listen, see, the real mystery is how music history created Paul Whiteman or any other white man, and pretended he originated and contended that he innovated a jazz thing.
Of course, the three of us knew who could really blow.
Scheming on the meaning of a jazz thing.
Dance music. Dance music. I love dance music. I love dance music. I love dance music. I love dance music.
And this music ain't dead, so don't be misled by those who said that jazz is on its deathbed. Cause when Betty Carter sings this song, ain't nothing going on but simply good music, and you won't refuse it. She's taking her time making the nuances rhyme. Sonny Rollins, tenor saxophone with a big old tone, reciting poems with notes as words. And haven't you heard? Next up, butter, right past oleo. Now there's young cats blowing, and more people, yes, they will be knowing. Jazz ain't the past, the music's gonna last. And as facts unfold, remember who foretold the 90s will be the decade of a jazz thing.
Yeah, that's funny, right? The 90s will be the decade of the jazz thing.
And it was, right?
It was. I think this decade is probably the most jazz. It's incredible. This was a precursor to all that's been going on, and an incredible fusion. It's interesting when you listen back to those lyrics, because it is phenomenal. And you just told me something I never knew before, which is that the lyrics were not written by Guru. So we're trying to find out who wrote them, but the band was incredible, right? It was Branford Marsalis and Gangstar and DJ Premier and the full crew. Incredible stuff, Gangstar. And you said the other song that was really huge in the club at the time,
Hot Music
by Soho, right?
Yeah, Pal Joey.
Pal Joey, who we saw. I can't believe it. I've just got my headphones. This is how brilliant Francois is here at this radio station. He's actually, I left my headphones here 6 months ago, and he's still got them. He's just giving them back to me. I'm really pleased about it.
Giles has a pair of headphones in every city in America, in the world, I think.
It's a good one. So Maurice, I was actually. asked recently to talk about Giant Steps for a big article that they're writing about in I think Red Bull.
Red Bull, yeah.
And I thought it was your 25th, but actually it's not. It's not your 30th or 25th.
28. I think we're 28. I've stopped counting, to be honest with you. Yeah.
But anyway, the amount of events that you put on. I mean, you know, bringing all these people. Which would be the one event that you think? I mean, I know it's difficult. I didn't prepare you for this question anymore. But I mean, I suppose apart from the New Eureka Soul Party, which to me was the greatest sort of event ever, which was not properly filmed.
Oh yeah, we got footage of that. It's there's some footage on YouTube.
It's
pretty crackly. Yes,
for the quality.
It is crackly.
I mean that the
George Benson and Tita Puente jamming on the stage together at the Supper Club La India, just incredible.
And I remember actually, fun enough, sadly Anthony Bourdain passed away recently, but in his book, I think Kitchen Confidential, he mentions Giant Step because he used to be cooking in the Supper Club.
He was the chef at the Supper Club. In fact, I worked with him at 2 restaurants. He was an oyster shucker at a restaurant I was a busboy at, and then I met him again when he was a chef at the Supper Club, and he used to love coming to the party because we had Soul Kitchen there, Giant Step, and then a party called Chicks with Dicks, which he talks about in the book as well. So yeah.
And of course, being in New York, I'd come and DJ here, and there'd always be the odd celebrity in the audience, right? That's something you don't really get in the UK so much, but you certainly had a few people who would come along. And who was the act? Lisa. Not Lisa Bonet, Lisa the Latin, who's in all the Spike Lee films. She used to come to your
Rosie Perez.
Rosie Perez.
Yeah. Rosie would come.
She'd be in the dance. And then you'd get all the big kind of, you'd get like Pete Diddy, and you'd get a few people. I remember last time I played with you here, it was Output.
Oh yeah, from Outkast. Andre came.
Andre was there on the dance floor, and that's what you do get in New York, isn't it? So let's play another song. What shall we do?
I want to play. I want to play someone who I feel doesn't get the kudos or the credit that he deserves.
Yeah.
And that's Weldon Irvine.
Yes.
Who I think was a musical genius, and without his foundation, I mean, you wouldn't have people like Mos Def, you wouldn't have Tribe, and also the fact that he also managed people like Don Blackman and people like Marcus Miller were in his band, Lenny White. He's just a very one of the greatest unsung heroes. We talk about Gilles being underappreciated and underrated, but Weldon definitely was.
It's a beautiful morning sunrise. If I ever hear you say, it seems like everything nature has So it's a morning. I know it's a morning sunrise. I said it's a beautiful morning sunrise. If I ever hear you say,
This is Worldwide FM and The Lot. We're live from The Lot. Lefto's just shown up. He's just arrived from JFK, was it? Where were you coming in from? Newark. That's a bit further, isn't it? Did it? No? Was it alright? Yeah, that's okay, good. Yeah, it was a bit long for me on Sunday night. Actually, it wasn't too bad coming through. It was 15 minutes through customs.
Wow.
Quickest ever.
Wow.
Quickest ever. I couldn't believe it.
There's Trump's America for you.
There you go. Well, it wasn't like that last time. It was about 2 hours last time I was there. So, Walden Irvin, amazing. And yeah, there's a documentary of his coming out, which I'm looking forward to watching.
Yeah.
Is it already made? Is they previewed
they're in the process of making it. They interviewed me for it, and I got them in contact with Q-Tip because he taught Q-Tip how to play the piano, and Tip did it, and Tip doesn't do a lot of that stuff at all. You know, Weldon had a son who looks exactly like him. He's interviewed a lot of people. And apparently Ahmad Jamal was best friends with Weldon.
Makes sense.
But he did not want to be interviewed because he's just so cut up about the whole thing.
And
so
of course, Weldon worked with Nina Simone amongst others.
yeah,
as
he's
well.
musical director, and he co-wrote Young, Gifted, and Black.
Amazing. Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention again. It's been a while that I've heard some Weldon Irvin, and of course, always worth just reaching out for those vinyls by the man himself. Now, the future of Giant Steps. Obviously, it's a huge thing, but I mean, you're still kind of working within the music scene, and you're still working with marketing and promoting music and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, so I mean, the music business has changed from what it was when we first started back in the day, Giles. And I throw the occasional party still. Still do an annual summer stage event. I've got Kruder and Dorfmeister coming out for the 25th anniversary at the end of October. But recently, as part of, because I have a marketing agency now, recently I've been getting back into doing a lot more great music projects. And the one I'm working on at the moment is for W Hotels, and we've set up a record label for them because they have recording studios at a lot of their hotels. And I've done it in a way, the same way a really good independent label is set up, but trying to then leverage the power of, W's global footprint and also Marriott. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. We're very excited about a couple of the artists we're going to be working with.
Is it sort of the only way forwards to work with these kind of brands to do this sort of thing these days? I mean, in terms of just being able to get the support to be able to make the dreams come true, or
you're talking for artists?
Just for you as a, for the world of music, talking about the business of music these days. I think that over the last few years in the UK, certainly there's been a way in which we can self-produce music without outside help, because there is enough of a community now supporting the music and the scene. So a label like Browns, which is my record label, which I run with Emily Moxon and Simon Goff, we basically spent the first few years of the record label literally needing to have those brand relationships to be able to kind of support us subtly to be able to do the music. But it's only in the last 3 or 4 years, now we can actually move on without any outsiders. Do you feel that that's sort of beginning to change over here, or do you still need your hotel chains or your telephone companies or whatever it is to be able to make those dreams come true?
Well, I think now anybody can make and release music, which is fantastic, which is a big game changer. I think the difference is marketing muscle, because anyone can get on Spotify, but how do you stand out? How do you get to all the people? And I think it's about creating partnerships, and those partnerships helping you to do that. And now it's a content-driven business. Everybody's looking for content. So brands, instead of making commercials or adverts, as you say in England, they make branded content. And you've got to do it in a very subtle and clever way and create something that people actually want. And music, if you do it properly with music, that can be a powerful tool. But what I really try and strive for is creating platforms that can actually help artists. So the platform we've created for W is valuable to the artist. It's not just some corporation trying to sort of like jump on the back of them and just trying to ride on their coattails to look good. It's positioning themselves as an enabler in the relationship to actually be of help.
Great. So listen, you've got some new music coming out. I've just seen you've got a Nick Hakim track. Are you involved in
No, I put Nick Hakim on there because I wanted to, we played a lot of old stuff, and I love the old stuff, but there's so much great music out there at the moment, and I've only picked a couple of artists who I wanted to play because both of them live in New York. There's no point in me playing stuff from outside of New York when we're in New York. So I love Nick Hakim. I think he's a really important new artist.
Okay. So let's play Nick Hakim, and then we're going to play something else, which is which other new thing should we play?
Amber Mark, who
Great.
I love, and we ate at her family restaurant yesterday, so
That's
I thought
good.
it fitting to play her.
Listen, Maurice, thank you. I think we'll have to do part 2 next time because we've got Corey King to come, and I want to get into his new album and everything. But, well, I mean, only touching the surface just now, right? And but great stuff, and keep it going. And maybe we can convince Louis and Kenny to do a part 2.
Oh my God!
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
I hope so.
Since you came around these parts of my mind, all I can recall is you mess and make it every time. You handcuffed yourself to your mother's bed that one night. Front door unlocked, waiting for me to arrive. I ain't all about lust, dominatrix, always thinking about myself. I used to wonder what I'd do without you. Now I embrace all my vices without shame. It's a beautiful world, the hips and leather, just tiny up in your room. yourself home. You really feel you're the person, oh my lover. What would I do without you? No wonder what I do without you. The woman that taught me love lays in front of me every morning. It's been years since you came around this part of my mind. All I can recall is you best to make it every time. You handcuffed yourself to your brother's bed that one night. You left the front door unlocked, waiting for me to arrive.
Tell me, because I've said it all. I've got a feeling we must have hit a wall here. And baby boy, please tell me like it is. 'Cause you talk love, but you never act on it. Because the driving is alive and honey, it is calling you. And I'm done trying to hide it, baby. I need more from you. So could you please respond to me, because I'll never understand. I give you the keys and why you gladly take them, you don't use them. Eh. You tell me all the time, baby, I'm the light in your life, and you love me more each day. You are starting to drive me crazy. Why won't you realize you gotta love me right, baby? Oh, yeah. All night, come love me right. Help me, I feel I've lost myself. It's just this one thing, we're great everywhere else. Or is it just me? Am I not what you want? 'Cause if that's the case, baby, why lead me on? Because the driving is alive and honey, it is calling you. And I'm done trying to hide it, baby. I need more from you. So could you please respond to me, because I'll never understand. I give you the keys and why you gladly take them, you don't use them. Why won't you? You tell me all the time, baby, I'm the light in your life, and you love me more each day.
us there in the end, right? That's Amber Mark as chosen by Maurice Bernstein, Giant Step, special guest, New York, The Lot, Worldwide FM, and Nick Hakim before that. Okay, so this Friday is the second anniversary for the Worldwide FM party. It's happening at, I should get the information, I'm just doing it off the top of my head, but it's happening at a place called Earth, which is Hackney Arts something, and it's a really amazing new venue. It's on the Kingston Road, and I think we're kind of close to selling out, but there's a few tickets left. It's this Friday, and it's a big long session starting at 7 o'clock in the evening in the theatre bit, and that will go on until about 11, and then downstairs in the basement we're going to be doing some DJ sessions with the likes of Global Roots. Tristan's going to be there, Auntie Flo's going to be there, I'll be down there as well. A little bit of a battle, a little bit of a back-to-back situation going on, and a whole heap of really good live action in the theatre earlier on, including Kayla Painter, who's coming through, the Future Bubblers. We've got people like Steam Down going to be there, some really, really great artists. That's this Friday, the second birthday of Worldwide FM. And I want to play a couple of tunes before we get over to our next guest, and just play you a couple of tunes that I'm into at the moment. And this is something I'm loving, and I've been playing it all day today. From the moment I woke up, I've listened to this, and it's brand new from Fatima.
Love, I guess that's where it's at, where everything's at. Always knew I had to let you go, waited for a change, but it never came. Honest reasons had them on reload, painted had me longing more, aching fate. Do you feel sorrow or happiness, friend? Speak from your heart and please don't pretend. Bottles, I'm lighting the flame, drowning my troubles, I'm here again. Only, you're the only one that I'm thinking about, got me feeling so lonely, and it's slowly driving me out of my mind. Catch me on my way to claim that mountain high, even when it gets lonely. You can see the power in my eye. If you see me, will you say hello? Will you smile or will you go far away? Got our reasons and we're holding on. Seems as if when love is gone, life it changes. Do you feel sorrow or happiness, friend? From your heart and please don't pretend. Bottles, I'm lighting the flame, drowning my troubles, I'm here again. Only, you're the only one that I'm thinking about, got me feeling so lonely, and it's slowly driving me out of my mind. Catch me on my way to claim that mountain high, when it gets lonely. You can see the power in my eyes. Only, you're the only one I'm thinking about. And this thing is slowly driving me wild. Catch me on my way to the mountain high. Lonely, you can see the power in my eyes. Only, you can see the power in my eyes. You can see the power in my eyes. You can see the power in my eyes. You can see the
Quiere que la puye, a Tinchi son míos de movie, blanca nube de ojos azules, janguear de Marte a lunes. Yo estaba en el Tibiritábara, me encuentro la hija de Satanás, sabrosa menos peposa, tan loca y no se le nota, como koala no se resbala, le gusta exhibirse como si nada, si le toca me digo, te veo jodido, si no te la
sacude la que tiene arena. Sacude la que tiene, sacude la que tiene, sacude la que tiene arena.
Hay que hacerte una limpieza, con los santos no se juega. Por mi madre, Cotego Calde, no te da ni hambre. Lo que te hace falta, melao y un poco salsa. Bien virado, ten cuidado, papá, cuando está en mi casa. Oye lo que te conviene, escúchame bien, nene. No te pongas guapo, chacho, porque Cristo viene. Y ahí te dejo, tú sabes que yo te quiero. Nos fuimos pa'l cielo, Capicú y el bandolero.
Está lo que no se le nota. Ya está. Sacúdela, 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 sacúdela que tiene arena. Sacúdela, 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 sacúdela que tiene arena.
Okay, I have to play a little special, little exclusive for you. This is, we were talking about all the Latin stuff going on. This is a brand new track from Louis Vega, Elements of Life. Just had a message as well, just to give me the exact information for Friday in London, Stoke Newington Road, Hackney Arts Centre, from 7 p.m. doors, live sessions till 10. Hosted by Tash LC and Tina Edwards with some special live music in the first section from Kayla Painter and New Tribe. We've got 22A presents original Omasma Mode. We've got Emma Warren presenting Steam Down, Erica McCoy presenting Mansour Brown, who of course is one of the members of the Yusuf Kamal, who the records that's here, the emergency record on the wall is there with Mansour Brown on it, so it all connects. And from 10 till 2, downstairs in the basement, really good sound we're going to have down there as well. Deborah Ibakel, Pete on the corner with Pena Live, Austin, Anti-Flow, and Browns for Basement versus Global Roots. Come along if you're in the area, it's going to be very special. 2 years of World Wide FM. Okay, we got a special guest here. I had to get some new music coming on, and I've got a film crew just arrived. Do you want me to put those headphones on? Yeah, I think. Actually, yeah, they're working. I wasn't sure if the headphones were working, but they are now. So this is The Lot Radio with Worldwide FM teaming up, and it's a pleasure to have someone new coming in for us, because I just got some music. I just got some music of yours this week, and Corey King's here. In fact, I'm going to change the headphones again because these aren't working. Okay. Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself and what brings you here, because I mean you've done loads of great music already, working with Esperanza Spalding, working with Jemiah Williams. That was a brilliant project. How do I say that project?
Eerie Madge.
Eerie Madge, that's it. Yeah, that's. And did that ever come out on vinyl? I never got a copy of that. I just got some.
Yeah, we didn't do a vinyl. We did a 12-inch. We did a 12-inch or a 7-inch, I think. It was a while ago, but. 2 of the songs off of there, Conflict of a Man, and we did another.
That's great.
Behind it was...
Who sings on Conflict of a Man?
Chris Turner.
Yeah.
Just a brother right there.
Yeah, very good. So,
sure.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get to the point where we're playing some of your new music, which blew my mind. I got it from Maurice, sent to me a few days ago, and she said you got to hook up with Corey because this stuff's good. I listened to it. I thought let's get him on here the radio. But as I said to you yesterday, I went to see Eddie Palmieri. I'm trying to remember who the trombonist that he had with him was, but he was an amazing, fierce player. And I was suddenly thinking to myself, because you play trombone as well, were you other stuff? What was your first instrument?
When I was a kid, I sang in church and in school.
Were you
like
New York?
Chorus, whatever. No, Texas.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
My mom was a singer too, and she played classical piano, so it was always in the house. And then when I started learning like music, how to read and everything, that was on trombone. Yeah.
What made you pick the trombone?
Man, I didn't pick it actually. My band director at the time needed trombone players, and I just wanted to be in a band. I just wanted to learn how to read music, so that was the instrument that they needed. So
that's how it happens in America, isn't it? You kind of go. I mean, I think there's this sort of music culture at school, which is really important. I mean, is it all schools like this in America? Is the music department an important part of growing up? In the UK, it feels like it's just one of those areas that's sort of the funding's gone, and it's like sport and music. They're kind of less important than maths and English.
Yeah. It's like that. I mean, I was lucky, man. I went to public middle school actually, and my band director there was just really amazing. This guy Ruben Garcia, he was a baritone euphonium player, so he just was a great educator. You know what I'm saying? That was a public school, so I got lucky. And then after that, I went to a performing and visual arts high school, HSPVA in Houston, and that was like all arts, music, visual, dance, acting, everything. You know what I'm saying? So
when did you realize that was how you were where you wanted to go into the arts, into music? What age were you, and how easy would it have been to find your way there in America?
I kind of knew it. I knew it all my life actually. It was crazy. My grandfather's a heavy vinyl collector, so every time he'll play it when I'm over there, it was always like, all right, yeah, this is the vibe, just how it made me feel, And so I kind of always knew it.
So the trombone was the instrument given to you because when I went to see, I'm going to find the name of the trombonist of Eddie Palmieri because it's got to be written somewhere, right? And he's a name.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I've got some of his records.
Totally.
But man, when he played yesterday, and when I hear a trombone just kicking off Curtis Fuller or you know these guys, it's a Brazilian, I think Raul de Souza, he's another amazing player.
Yeah.
For me, you know, trumpet, yes, saxophone, yes, we've heard him in time, but the trombone is the funkiest of them all. Right?
Yeah,
It's like a proper sort of Buster Williams bass solo, but on the trombone.
Indeed. Sure. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah.
So you've pulled a few. So let's play a couple of trombone tracks if we could. And you're starting off with a live recording. Is this at the town hall?
This is at the Opera House.
At the Opera House.
Yeah.
In New York.
Actually, I think this is in California.
In California.
Yeah,
so who is this?
This is J.J. Johnson and Stan Getz.
Let's go. brilliant this is. This is Jemiah Williams, as chosen by Corey King here on the Lot Radio. Yeah, what's your involvement with Jemiah? Because he's one of the greatest drummers around at the moment.
So Jamaiah's my best friend. Like, we grew up together. I've known him since I was 9.
Right.
You know.
Is he also from that same...
Yeah, from Houston. Our moms went to high school together. Then we grew up going to church together, went to high school together, went to college together. Now we best friends. I mean, you know, the whole time. It's crazy.
So when did you go in separate directions musically, or when did you? I mean, when you were doing Esperanza's Boarding, he wasn't doing Esperanza. Did he? No.
Yeah.
So when did you start finding your own paths?
I think kind of New York kind of makes us all find our own paths, man, because it's just like trying to survive, and you know, maybe at that time, I think he was playing with Christian Scott, and Christian didn't need a trombone player, but Esperanza needed a trombone player, you know what I'm saying? And then, yeah, we'll just, you know, see each other around the world and, break bread or whatever, and it's crazy. And
I'm curious about how it is. We were talking with Maurice earlier on about the sort of the life and the trajectory of a jazz musician. And for you, you go to school, you learn your instrument, and you're going to get into music. Did it feel natural to do jazz, or could you have ended up doing different things? Was it a sort of decision you made because you just had to go there for the love of the music, even though commercially it probably wouldn't have been the most obvious choice?
Man, I actually started out in classical, like a symphony, and but there was like a small jazz combo with no trombone player in there. It was just like saxophone, keys, you know, bass drums, whatever. And I always thought that music sounded slicker. It was, you know, you heard everybody's imagination in it, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I could express myself more playing that. So I kind of stopped. I was skipping classical classes or whatever to go and just hear the combo and play with them and practice with them. And that's kind of how I caught on. So.
And were you listening to a lot of jazz music? Were you sort of going to concerts? Were you aware of the sort of heavy heritage of the music in this country?
Yeah, definitely.
And who would have been the sort of musicians that you looked up to that were the sort of generation above you? Not the real legends, but the kind of who would have been your sort of immediate peers?
Man, well, in Houston, there was a lot of musicians coming out of Houston.
So Robert Glasper would you have been?
Glasper was like a big brother to me for sure. And even before Glasper, there was Jason Moran. You know, before Jason, there was all kind. You know, Arnett Cobb. You know what I'm saying? Melvin Sparks. All those guys coming out of Houston.
Sparks,
yeah, you know what I mean. So.
Is he still around, Melvin Sparks?
Nah, I think he's gone, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in Houston, is there a club that you'd go and play and sort of get your thing?
Yeah.
Where would you play in Houston?
There's this place called Cezanne's that we always trying to get to playing Cezanne's. You know what I'm saying? So Cezanne's, and there's another place out there that had a dope jam session. This place called Red Cat Jazz Cafe. So that's kind of where we all kind of started, you know, playing in front of people.
And you go back and they recognize you and they go, look, you're doing, they follow your career.
Yeah.
The elder statesman and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So, okay, obviously one of the, again, we were listening to Gangstar Jazz Thing, the 90s, a decade of the jazz thing. But this is the decade of the jazz thing. It feels to me, like, you know, whether it's here in the States or certainly in London and Manchester, certain parts of the UK, it's a very... Are you aware that there's something going on in the UK?
Yeah, totally.
Have you sort of spoken or hooked up with any of the musicians?
Outside of the people in Simon's band.
This is Bonobo band.
Bonobo's band. I hear from them, and I know other people. Like, there's a guy who I really like, and this guy Richard Spavin, drummer. We were playing with Jose James together, and that's where I met Richard, and he's doing some cool stuff. So I'm always following him, seeing what he's doing, and yeah.
And you were playing with the Japanese trumpeter who was also
Takuya Kuroda.
Yeah, he's really great. So well, great. Thank you very much for sort of just putting me in that place and everything. So talk to me about Esperanza Spalding, because she's like certainly an established superstar. Do you think that she probably you think that her association with the president was a positive or a negative thing for her? Because, you know, in a way, Obama was her biggest fan, right? And did you ever play at the White House? Did you?
No, I never made it, man. I never made it there.
So,
I didn't get to shine.
So tell me a little bit about playing with her and her position in a way, because I mean, you know, she's a bass player and she's jazz, but then again, she's doing her thing. Yeah, man. So I met Esperanza back in 2009, just playing a gig. You know what I'm saying? Like she was a bass player, I was a trombone player, and we always got along. You know what I'm saying? She always kind of, I feel like I always identified with her. You know, just because we both felt like she just kind of some other things, whatever. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't just like straight down the middle, and I really liked that. Then I started playing in her band like a year later, playing trombone, and then we started writing together for the project that we're gonna get to later. But I was writing songs with her and playing piano and singing with her, and then shortly after that, she asked me to be a background singer, and so I started playing synths and singing backgrounds with her on her last D+ Evolution tour. And now we're here. I'm actually going in with her on Friday to do some background singing for a new record. Well, I can you ask her as well? Come and do a radio show for us as well. We've been trying to get to do something for a long time. Okay, well, this is a track. This is a song that you've chosen that you recorded with her. This is Noble Nobles. Tell us a little bit about this one and why you've chosen it.
This is actually the song that we wrote together. That's on there. It was kind of one of the first ones that kind of started the project. So
let's go.
Yeah.
Debutantes and pale and powdered sugar face, their refined tastes come suckled from mama's wet maid, you know. Drinking Dapper Jensen, wigging rosy culture dews, toasting the news. All cargo on Jesus was sold today. Manifesting lavish, God wants him to have this, and without a doubt believe his ends are noble. So the savage means are deleted from the scene, so we can believe that we are noble nobles with a savage. Walking pioneers and blazing trails and rushing gold, so far from home, but none of them shed any tears at all. Not at all. Talking founding fathers with a free philosophy, but don't mention me. Stain of red blood on their hands at all. Now we all replay it till we understand the moral of the story we're shooting again tomorrow's savages.
we're chatting away and we're missing it. That was really, really good. It's good to hear Esperanza Spalding. We're just talking about Esperanza and the fact that Esperanza had an album produced by Q-Tip at one stage as well, and I'd like to hear sort of versions of that. But her son's, she's not jazz. What is she? I mean, she's just jazz. It's a new generation artist in a way.
Yeah, man. She's doing everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. How long were you with Jose James for?
I started playing with Jose in 2013.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've just kind of been off and on with him since.
Yeah.
Like I played on his last record, some trombone stuff on there, and I was on the No Beginning, No End record.
Great record.
That's kind of when I started with him.
Great record. I think Lefto's here. He's got a few. You've got alternative versions of that record. I think you've got some dubs and stuff.
Which one?
Of the Bush. What was it?
No Beginning, No End.
No Beginning.
Jose record.
The Robert Glasper album.
Yeah.
I know you've got some versions of that which nobody else has got.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Corey, listen, I can't believe it. We've run out of time pretty much.
Yeah.
So we're going to play a song from your forthcoming EP. So this is so basically in terms of your music, this is apart from working with the likes of Esperanza, you're releasing this. I mean, you've already released an album, haven't you?
Yeah, back in 2016.
And so this is back in 2016. That sounds like
I mean, a couple years. Yeah.
it was yesterday. So tell us what you're going to play and when's it coming out? And what do you do on this? What's your role?
So yeah, this record is it's the EP. I'm doing a bunch of stuff on it. I produced it, played a lot of synths, a lot of bass. Sequencing, and I brought a lot of live elements like live drums on some things and percussion and stuff like that. So playing some trombone on it, singing, everything. It's kind of I feel like this is kind of like just a blend of everything that I do. You know. So,
Great. Okay. Cool. And Winter Jazz. I'll be back here in January for Winter. Are you doing anything at Winter Jazz this year?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
It might well happen, right?
Yeah.
Is there any sign of you coming over to Europe with anybody?
Mm-mm.
So you're just getting stuck into your music.
Yeah, man.
Focusing.
Totally.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming in.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So good. This is Corey King, forthcoming, little exclusive, Worldwide FM The Lot. Track called 3 Years, remember where you heard it first. Max Pask is coming on The Lot in a moment. It's been GP. We've lost a guest. Thank you, Francois. Thank you, Maurice Bernstein. Thank you to Corey. And Lefto. Lefto's just, yeah, he's here. He's saying, why is he not coming to the Worldwide second birthday party? I don't know. Too expensive. Not really. So, go and see Lefto this Thursday. He's playing at Le Bain, which is on top of what hotel? The Standard Hotel. I'm going to leave you with this. Take care. Backwards. Erimage. Conflict of a man.
You could be anywhere, all about someone's life, in and out. You can do anything, see what the future brings. Now that you're all alone, have a life of your own. If we could ever be you and me again, could we work it out? Or would it all just be the same old way again? Could we work it out? Only if we try. Tell the truth, I think of you. When I do, I start to lose a sense of me, trying to live a life without you. Honestly, I could be eventually